All right. A very good afternoon, Ken, Eve. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're here at the beautiful Rapyd offices on Neil Road in Singapore.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you for coming by. And this is in partnership with the Singapore Fintech Festival, a session of talks aptly labeled as Rapyd Talks. You are our esteemed guests here, and we'd love to talk about marketplaces. But before that, Eve, ladies first. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about Arcadier. What is it that you guys do?
All right, so a little bit about Arcadia. We are a Singaporean headquartered company founded in 2013. And we're a leading provider of marketplace technology. So what that means basically is that anybody can come on and use our software to create their own online marketplace. Mm-hmm. So whether it's retail, like creating your own Amazon, or rental, like creating your own Airbnb, or services like creating your own TaskRabbit, we enable anybody, anywhere to create their own online marketplace. Up until today, so since 2013, we've had over 15,000 marketplaces built.
15,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
Using our software. And what else?
And what do you do at Arcadier?
Oh, right, okay. So I am our partnerships and new business manager. So I look after our ecosystem of partners that we use. So even though we provide the marketplace technology, we also need a huge swath of partners, whether it's logistics or helping out with SEO or payments. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do.
So is that how Rapyd and Arcadier became partners? Were you instrumental?
That's how we became friends, right?
Fair enough. And Ken, tell us the backstory. How did Arcadier come about?
As Ev mentioned earlier, that we started in 2013. So, my personal background, I'm actually ex-PayPal, mm-hmm. and at that time was very much intertwined with the eBay business. So very much, my co-founder and I we both left PayPal at the time with an understanding of the market landscape, and we saw that the market was moving towards marketplace technology per se. And as a result, we also started to notice that although there was a level of heightened interest in this area of technology, but only people with deep pockets really could afford to build marketplaces. So people like Alibaba or Amazon or eBay or Airbnb, they were able to afford this technology. But we saw the applicability of marketplaces even broader. Even students could create a marketplace for themselves in a university to buy and sell good books, secondhand books among each other, mm-hmm. or local councils can do secondhand items with each other. So there's a lot of use cases that marketplace technology is so applicable in a very hyper-local, hyper-vertical manner. So we thought that at that time that there was no one else providing marketplace technology at such an affordable price and making it very accessible to everyone. So we really wanted to disrupt the market and to make sure that such technology with so much power in it is available for everyone. So we started Arcadier at that time. Our knowledge of marketplaces as well as online payments were fairly big at that juncture, and therefore we were able to build Arcadier out, and that's how we started.
It's been a fascinating growth story. So how big is the team now, and where all are you spread out?
Okay, so Arcadier is now about 50 people around the world. We have 5 offices. Singapore is our headquarters. Mm-hmm. Our development teams are spanned between Sydney as well as Philippines in Manila. And then we actually have teams also in London as well as in the United States, Las Vegas per se. The reason why we had to also expand into Europe and America, being an Asian organization, is that more than 50% of our traffic actually comes from those 2 regions, and that we needed to support our customers in those regions as well.
Right. That's good to know. And I've been hearing stories about all these fun and interesting marketplaces that have been set up. So Eve, tell us more about that.
As mentioned, we've had thousands of marketplaces built on, so we've definitely seen some pretty interesting ideas out there.
Unique?
Unique, very unique. And like piggybacking off of what Ken said, a lot of them are very hyper-local and hyper-vertical. So some examples would be a belly dancing class marketplace in Germany, or a vintage car collectibles marketplace. So not selling cars, but repurposed car parts into like furniture and different products. There's also ones for sustainable lifestyle products or also kid entrepreneur crafts. So kids selling their own crafts on a marketplace. So
Wow.
pretty cool, very interesting stuff going on.
I think I should sign up for one of those. All right. So coming to some of the more serious questions that our audience has been asking as well. When we look at marketplaces and as you've seen them grow over the last decade or so, what have been the key features that have helped this segment come up and really come alive in the e-commerce space?
I guess your question is about why e-commerce has actually translated into marketplaces as a dominant force.
Right.
Actually, the interesting answer to that is really, if you look at the way society has always transacted amongst each other, it's always about coming to a place, whether it's Angora in ancient Rome, and then the Grand Market, the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul, which still exists. Collective buying and selling is always what people do,
right.
But those days was offline. So whether you're bartering something or actually buying with cash, it's always part of the history of how people operate and transact amongst each other. So in the early days, if you think about it, right, what we had was high streets all along big cities where all are individual shops. So what that became was online stores,
right.
Because it's a digitization of online stores. But inherently, people were very comfortable with marketplaces, right? Whether it's an offline farmer's market or an online experience. So what you then see in the offline world was that they started to consolidate and become shopping malls.
Right.
And in some cases, specialty shopping malls, very focused on one particular item. You have a mall in Singapore, for instance, Bras Basah, that actually sells books. So people actually would, because of that whole inertia, people actually go to a single place for a particular item. So marketplaces was just a a trend that we actually saw coming. After online stores, it will be online marketplaces, because that's how people actually transact even on the offline environment. So that's why marketplaces become such a big thing. It has actually even become, because of the collective buying and selling and discovery and comparison and transparency that goes with it. But at the same time, there are a couple of things why marketplaces became so big. It was driven also largely also with the sharing economy, where marketplaces enabled anyone to actually list the items and get discovered, and also with the mobile phone factor that allowed on-demand purchases to work, right? So because of that capability, you have people like Uber, who builds marketplaces for car rides, right? So anyone can list, be discovered by anyone who wants a ride and be able to book it very quickly, or like Grab for food delivery, for instance. So a lot of these trends started at the same time, and technology that started at the same time made it possible for marketplace to actually flourish very quickly. It was just a matter of time. And what we do believe is that marketplaces will continue to be the dominant force in e-commerce, what we call online stores, e-commerce 1.0, marketplaces, e-commerce 2.0, for instance, and that's where you're going to be.
Right. And I think the 15,000 odd marketplaces are a true validation of this thesis as well. And as we see the marketplaces going from being extra local to being global in nature as well, is that something that you've seen happen on the Arcadier platform, and what are the challenges that you're facing or the customers are facing in that front?
Yeah, we have a lot of, we have both domestic as well as international types of marketplaces developed on our system. And obviously the two fundamental chasm that comes with marketplaces development and making it scalable, other than the core features a marketplace needs to have, is language and payments.
Right.
And then these are the two fundamental building blocks that impedes as well as accelerates scaling of a marketplace. So actually in that regard, right, payments is a big fundamental thing that we don't solve. That's why we partner Rapyd for that. Perhaps maybe you can tell us a little bit about, how we can solve payments in marketplaces.
Sure, absolutely. I think the genesis behind Rapyd when we were first set up was to solve the classical marketplace problem where a business needed to scale for multiple payment methods in multiple countries, all at a fairly fast click, without having to dedicate too many development resources, too much BD effort, signing thousands of contracts. So over the last 5 odd years of existence, we've grown to about 900 payment methods.
Wow.
Spread across about 100 countries. And a large part of our team come from the ex-PayPal and ex-ride-sharing or the gig economy world as well, because we've all faced that same problem in our previous roles, and that was the genesis behind the idea of Rapyd itself. Another issue that we see on the cross-border payment side is managing multiple currencies. Finance and treasury teams hate the idea of having to manage this complexity. So at Rapyd, we today support close to 65 currencies for sellers. So you can be selling your goods and services to buyers in multiple countries, allow the buyer to purchase in what is local to them, and allow the seller to receive funds in their central hub, which is where their treasury team sits out of. So that is how Rapyd has been helping marketplaces and marketplace administrators to scale their business quickly without too much of a fuss.
I think it's interesting that you bring that up. I know that personally from our side, we get a lot of questions when it comes to payments because it's such a key aspect of any marketplace, and it can really change or make or break how a marketplace scales and does well as a business. So whether it's like B2B or B2C, because I know that our users would want to know more about what you view as the key features for each kind of different type, because I know that previously in this previous talk this week, we were talking about B2C, B2B, services and digital goods and stuff. So what's your take on everything?
Right. I think I would say there are 3 key features that most marketplace administrators ask from a payments perspective. The first is a simplified checkout experience, whether it's a plugin or it's a hosted page, which can help them populate all the payment options that are relevant to a particular market. So when we talk about Singapore as an example, our Singapore platform supports right from Pay Now and fast bank transfers to all of the wallets, be it a GrabPay or a Payla or a Pay Anyone, or credit cards. And now with UnionPay coming in, there are 3 or 4 mega schemes that are operational. From a marketplace perspective, you want to enable all of these options for the buyers, but still keep it seamless in a single checkout. So that was the one key feature that we had launched almost 2 years ago, which has seen a lot of success, especially in the mall community within Singapore, as they've looked to go online. The second would be around trust. I think when a new marketplace comes to force, the buyers are still circumspect about trusting the sellers, and escrow is a feature that helps really reinforce that idea. So as a buyer, I know that I've made a purchase, I've made the payment, but it would still be controlled by the marketplace administrator until the goods have been delivered and are delivered to satisfaction. So escrow is a feature that is sort of core to our API. It's fairly easy to build, and it comes as a standard offering within our Collect platform. And the third would be a combination of our Disburse platform and what we call split payments. So as the marketplace owner, you would have thousands, maybe millions of sellers that you have to deal with. And there's a lot of transactions, there's a lot of operational data that you have to handle. So at the point of transaction itself, when the buyer makes a payment, splitting that between the marketplace as well as the different sellers that operate is a key feature that we do offer. So I think between these 3, we can build the pillars for success for a marketplace from a payment perspective.
Quick follow-up. I know that I saw on our side, we obviously do split payments because that's just the easiest for everybody involved. But we do have a lot more customers coming in and asking about escrow and if it's right for them. What would your advice be as a payments company? Basically, when should you have escrow and when shouldn't you?
I think especially in your scale-up phase, providing an escrow service is important because it builds the trust within the buyer community. And it also helps you quality control the sellers as well. So it helps you weed out some of the bad sellers that would give your marketplace a bad reputation going forward. So I would say in the initial phase, starting with an escrow first model is important. Personally, when I first shopped on Shopee, I was given an escrow option where I'd receive an SMS to confirm that the goods have been received, and only then was the payment released to the seller.
Yeah.
And that for me was a big differentiator between the other marketplaces that I'd shopped on when I first moved to Singapore.
Yeah.
And it was completely unique to me. And it's something that sort of stuck with me as well as an experience. So it can be a good differentiator as you go about scaling up your marketplace.
Very true.
We definitely have seen all that type
Yeah.
of permutations of payment requests from our users.
lot.
And I think Rapyd definitely spans all the various ones that users actually require, which is great.
Well, so from a technology perspective, if you're looking to build a marketplace for the viewers out there, you have Arcadier, and then for your payment stack, you have Rapyd. So please bear in mind. Ken, I'd love to pick your brain on some of the industry verticals and some of the segments that you're seeing marketplaces achieve success as well, and where do you see the demand really coming in from some of your customers?
Okay, I guess we can take the question into two parts, right, as an answer. One is that what are types of features and technology and trends that we're seeing given the exposure we have with new ideas and marketplace ideas that's developed on Arcadier. And then the other, I guess, would be what are the types of marketplaces that are currently being developed externally and what we've also observed in terms of the market. So first of all, I think there could be 4 trends that we're starting to see about how marketplaces are evolving. One, I think we already mentioned quite a bit of in terms of marketplaces are becoming very much more hyper-local and hyper-vertical. It's about one use case. It's about car sharing.
Right.
It's about accommodations booking. It's about food ordering. So it becomes very hyper-vertical. At the same time, it also, in the same light of those examples, they are also very hyper-local. It serves a particular region. Right. Singapore is small, so it serves the whole country. But in other larger countries, it could be very city-bound. So what we're seeing is a lot of emergence of hyper-local and hyper-vertical marketplaces growing. So that's why there's an exponential growth in terms of marketplaces that you see, and it's continuously growing. A different trend that we started to see also to your point about escrow and trust, right? Trust is always an issue with marketplaces. So escrow is one way of solving it. Another way of solving it is the use of blockchain, right? So blockchain is something very recent, but we've also started to see clients of ours asking whether they could enable their marketplaces developed on Arcadier with blockchain. So that has become even more a conversation that we're having with clients. And one example we have in Singapore is a client of ours actually built a marketplace for collectible toys, Japanese collectible toys, so that people can buy and sell amongst themselves on that marketplace. And to be able to enable authenticity validation, they've enabled it with a blockchain technology, which is awesome. So we couple our marketplace with a blockchain technology that was provided by a partner.
Fantastic.
What we've also started to see that as a result, very much with the COVID situation, there's also a lot of organizations starting to realize that the offline world isn't enough for them, right? Especially shopping malls, for instance, where the footfall traffic is falling so much that in order to remain not only relevant to the consumers, they also have to remain relevant to their tenants. They're still collecting rent, right? So they will build an online to offline kind of experience. And quite often they already have their own database and CRM all already created, and applications created. So they basically want a more web app kind of experience, which we can do, right? So it's putting something in application into a pre-existing application. So that's one technology trend that we're starting to see lots more requests.
Right.
And the final is similar on the same line as the COVID situation. Some countries, even till today, are still on lockdowns. There is also a need for augmented reality. So trade shows have heightened interest in our technology. So we've been talking to a couple of that besides the shopping malls. And they were asking if we could put augmented reality. They do a virtual trade show where someone walks through and buys things and click and drops into shopping cart. That's also very easily doable with a partner technology. And for that, we have also identified partners who can actually do the simulation to embed into our system. So those are like the 4 major trends that we're seeing of recent, and a lot recent because of the last 12 months. From a marketplace standpoint, as I mentioned earlier on, because of COVID, the online to offline is getting more blurred, right? It's offline to online this time, where shopping malls as well as fairs and farmers markets, they're all going virtual. So this O2O is also a very big trend, and I think that trend is going to stay in terms of ability to buy online and pick up at store, buy online, pick up at the farmer's market, or get it delivered. That's also one that we've seen with a lot of heightened interest. B2B is also picking up. A lot of the marketplaces that you've seen over the last couple of years has always been B2C.
Right.
The ones that we can rattle off quite quickly. But the B2B world is also realizing the efficiency that marketplace can drive, wholesale procurement, e-procurement, where you are able to buy cross-border bulk purchase. So that really helps as well. So we're seeing that that trend appearing, and it's going to be very formidable. There's tons of articles talking about the fact that B2B is the next big wave for marketplaces. In particular, we have started to see healthcare, disbursement of medical devices, or is it other types of medical supplies, seems to be a big trend that we are seeing impending in appearance. I think most of us are more familiar with wholesale seafood or wholesale foods materials of that standard types of products. But healthcare is a big one to watch that we believe. Interestingly, we also started to get requests for marketplaces for digital classes. Is your marketplace embedded with Zoom, for instance? Because a lot of these classes have to go online, right? So classes can still go on, where marketplaces where professionals are giving tutorials and gym classes through an online marketplace experience. So that's also a trend to watch. And I think that would be something that instead of having to go to a location or school for it, we do believe that trend would continue, virtual classes as well.
Well, both R2D2 and myself will look forward to the augmented reality coming up soon.
Okay.
On the marketplaces. Just changing track slightly. So I know there are a few budding entrepreneurs out there listening in as well.
Yeah.
And this is a question both for Eve and Ken. What is the one piece of advice that you would have for someone that's looking to set up their own marketplace in today's day and age?
Ooh, one piece of advice? I would say figure out your business plan. Like technology, yes, of course, and I think Ken said this before, is technology is important and it enables your idea, but it's still at the core is what's your idea and what's your plan? Is it that you own one side of the equation where you know the sellers or you know the buyers? And I mean, when it comes to payments, it can be a differentiator, like you said. So it's really important to have a solid plan and make sure that it's viable.
Okay. So focus on the core. And
Yeah,
totally. I think my advice would be to start with an MVP, a minimum viable product, right? Number of times we get calls from clients who wants to build a marketplace that has this element from Amazon, that element from Airbnb, this element from eBay, and they say, I want to do this. And then obviously you have to have a big budget to do that. That's one thing. Secondly, sometimes the user experience just clash because they don't know that these elements work for a particular reason. So it becomes forbidding in terms of cost, and they get a root shock on what it will cost them to build a marketplace. But at the same time, also, sometimes the user experience just does not work well. So I would always suggest someone start with a minimum viable product and then work from there, get feedback from your users, get feedback from your merchants, understand where you could improve in terms of the feature sets to be able to get a smoother user experience and buying experience for your users and also your merchants who are selling on your marketplace. So start small, start with a minimum viable product, and then work from there.
Right. And I think you also did touch upon the monetization aspects and how you can grow that over once the MVP has been proven to be a success.
Yes.
And
that's probably very important, right? How you monetize your marketplace is very critical. How you're going to make money from it, and how your merchants getting paid. I think payments is a fundamental key element within the marketplace that you probably need to think about even when you're doing your MVP. So you also find the right payment flows for your marketplace, and I believe Rapyd can solve quite a few of those payment flows.
So for any of our listeners out there, I'm sure we'll be happy to share this this set of advice for them as well. And so looking back at 2020, so just to reflect on what are the lessons that we've learned, you've seen the market go through a lot of changes as well. What would be the key sort of reflections, both from an Arcadier perspective and for the broader e-commerce community?
I think from a broader e-commerce community or a broader community per se, right, is the biggest learning is do not procrastinate. What we've seen the last year is that a lot of businesses started to procrastinate to the point whereby when this whole pandemic situation occurred and countries were locking down, suddenly a lot of offline businesses just couldn't survive because they didn't have a digital strategy or even an online presence per se. And a lot of them didn't even entertain the how-to before that, right? So I would say that from a broader perspective, there should be a greater thought process around digitization of your business. And even if the vaccines are found, for instance, do not underestimate the value of digitization for your business. Whether you still need an offline business to augment, online business augment offline business, and which is your core business, you should still have both presence. And I think that's the biggest learning in terms of a market side of things. Anything else to add, F?
No, I mean, I think it's true. Like, even if you have thought about it and you procrastinated, but even the companies that just don't see the relevance, I think that there's always a way to innovate your business and to see. I think this year has shown that there are huge gaps in everything and that there are always niches to fill that are viable as business ideas and products and marketplaces. And I think we really are seeing marketplace technology being used as a utility now and not just what we're used to when it comes to buying things online.
Right. Yeah. So there is a huge opportunity out there which businesses need to take cognizance of.
So Chetty, what about you? What are your learnings?
I think our learnings would somewhat mirror the same thought around procrastination. We saw businesses that were slow to go online in terms of accepting payments as well. And that was one of the biggest challenges we also aim to solve. For no business should it be that difficult or that time consuming to go online and to either start collecting payments from consumers or to start paying their vendors. We can move towards a cash-free society, and that's what Rapyd is sort of building the infrastructure for and the building blocks for. And so speed and time to market is something that we've seen some of our most successful clients take advantage of the situation and have gone online in the matter of weeks, not even months. And some of the less fortunate clients have actually floundered and their businesses have struggled because of the lack of an online presence.
Yeah. What about, so you mentioned a cash-free society. When do you think that would happen by? Prediction for the future?
Well, gazing into my crystal ball, I'm hoping for an advancement in real-time payments in the next 12 to 24 months.
Wow.
And as those systems get more and more robust, and we start seeing a cross-border element to that as well, only then can we move towards a truly cash-free society, where we will be bartering goods for digital credits.
Wow.
And not for hard cash anymore.
Crazy. Well, hey, so I guess we've all talked about 2020. What do we think about 2021?
I think 2021, you will see the acceleration of digitization to continue. I think this once in a generation pandemic situation really has transformed the way we transact and the way we think about the online world. Right? For the longest time, it was two separate environments, but I think people are starting to see that they can be one and the same, not only from an e-commerce perspective, but also from the fact that we are very comfortable working from home right now. You don't actually have to have a face-to-face to get things done, for instance. So I do believe 2021, you will see more and more adoption of technology, which is all good for us. We all love technology. And you see the disruption in just about every industry out there. That's my personal view. I'm not sure what your views are.
Chatty?
I think my closing thought there would be the new industries and the new client segments that will open up will be extremely interesting and challenging. We've had some industries like the malls that we discussed previously that were entirely offline until very recently. We've also seen a massive advent of live events and live commerce, where consumers are signing up for events and are actually immersed in the session itself and placing orders online with an element of delivery that takes place to their home, or they go do a store pickup. But shopping in these live events has become quite the norm, and we're seeing customers are no longer interested in the boring buying off the shelf model. So they want to see the look and feel and test the product online before they can actually buy. And we expect more of that going forward as well.
So last but not least, what about you, Ev?
I guess 2021, I'm excited to see like community-driven ideas and innovation. I think that this past year has probably shown a lot of people that, you can't travel as much, and you are definitely getting to know your home a lot better and your neighbors and stuff. So I'm kind of excited to see what niches get filled by very small community-driven ideas.
Nice. Well, with that, I think we have a couple of minutes if anyone on our audience here would like to ask a question.
Okay, Hassan here. A question for, you've mentioned quite a lot about how COVID has affected digital transformation. We were wondering if COVID has influenced any types of businesses especially, and whether there's been a feature or type of functionality that has been most hotly requested because of COVID.
So from a e-commerce or a marketplace perspective, Ken, any particular segments that you've seen that are most hotly affected by COVID?
Definitely any business that has been predominantly offline are starting to
really feel the pain.
Yeah, they feel the biggest pain, right? So I think the two biggest groups of these are the stores on high street, your mums and pops, your shopping malls, whose whole existence is for people to walk in and buy things and look and touch and feel and buy. That's one that I feel has been very badly impacted, and that's very easy to digitize with marketplace technology. In fact, it's probably a lot less in terms of a need for changes in features, other than maybe integrating to their own internal CRM systems or their own loyalty point system. I think the other one that has been really impacted, as I mentioned earlier on, are gyms and classes and tutorial classes where other than your universities, a lot of them are businesses, running businesses, right? So they have been impacted. Those are the ones that are interesting because marketplaces for professional services where you get advisory online, the features they would need would be ability to book my time, understand what my profile is, the same time exchange of questions and answers, integrations to calendars, into online Zoom or Google Hangout kind of environment to make it more seamless, ability to share materials online during the whole process. So merging those features within the marketplace is actually quite critical. And obviously how to get paid, right? Because they've always been paid physically at the actual event itself, right. But now they might need the fact that I need to collect a deposit before I run the class, and then if there's satisfaction, then I get the other half. So there's a lot of payment flows that goes into those examples I've shared as well. Yeah.
Right.
I guess the only other one I can think of would be healthcare. I mean, they're not as greatly affected like malls and in-person, but I think that they've been affected in the sense that they can't function the same way. So, I think telehealth is becoming a huge thing. And we also get a lot of requests for that.
Marketplaces is a big thing for us as well.
Because people don't want to go to the hospital, or we can't go to the hospital anymore in some cases.
Right.
So there has to be alternative ideas and innovations to see how can we still help all of those people that are normally in need.
Right. No, that's a very valid one. From our perspective, and also on a slightly positive note, we've seen the digital goods space get a lot more share of consumer wallet, especially as outdoor activity has been curbed. There's more kids and students playing online versus the ability to go outdoors and play, as an example. Entertainment has moved almost exclusively online in this period. So those would be the two segments. Any other last questions as we... Yes.
Yes, I do. We've seen that live stream selling has picked up massively in this year, but it was already showing green shoots in the last 3 or 4 years, especially in Asian markets, where there's entertainment and purchase and shopping and all of that going on together. How does Arcadier fit into that ecosystem of where there's combination of things going on at one point?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, it's a perfect question in terms of to illustrate the partnership that we actually have with Rapyd. Rapyd and Arcadier actually joined forces to power the Suntec City's e-mall. And when they launched the marketplace with the marketplace and the payment facet of it, they didn't want to just do it as a natural announcement, we just launched an e-mall. They started with a live stream. And in fact, there were a lot of materials out there. They did a big press release about the first shopping mall to do a live stream event, right? So they got a couple of their big tenants to actually start to sell things online with a video. And then we enabled the checkout part of it. Arcadier basically enabled the ability to add the items that were sold on live stream to cart in Singapore. That was quite popular. I think Chatty himself bought something that day because they were really good deals. And then Rapyd basically facilitated the payments on that front. So all those technology and augmentation, whether it was all the augmented reality that I was talking about or live stream, we had been able to enable e-commerce from that perspective. It doesn't have to be a standardized marketplace landing page that we are also accustomed to, but we can actually be, and facilitate some of these transactions even from a live stream perspective at the items and the shopping cart relevant to that at that point as well. So our technology is flexible for that regard. Yeah, and so obviously it's Rapyd. So that's why we managed to get, you bought some headphones, right? Because they were really good deal.
My first set of AirPods Pro was on sales.
Yeah, by the time I looked at the live stream, it was all sold out. I didn't get my hands on it fast enough.
No, but that's fascinating, the feature to add to the cart while you're still checking out the first product. And sort of an upsell opportunity for the mall and their tenants.
Correct.
Which is fantastic. We've also seen from a payments perspective, this has helped. This particular segment has benefited from the lowering of costs and the democratization of payments in general. Previously, a live stream would not really work because the payment itself would take 2 days to reach the merchant.
Yes.
Now that the merchants are a lot more assured of the funds reaching them on time at a much lower cost, they have the ability to ship goods real time as well, and tighter inventory controls. So all of these have sort of helped this segment really grow and blossom, I would say, over the last year and a half. Well, with that, thank you so much, both Eve and Ken, for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And for your valuable time. This has been fantastic. It's part of the Rapyd Talks here at Singapore Fintech Festival. Given that we are practically neighbors now, we hope to have more of these sessions going forward as well.
Looking forward.
Yeah, for sure.
And for those of you who are here in Singapore, please do drop by. Do register before you drop in. And stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.